Kelly, I can't see Kelly. Ready, Kelly? Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back. I call out of recess, Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals hearing on petition number 21P 1566, South Dixon Solar LLC's request for a special use permit to construct a solar energy system in South Dixon Township. As I do the beginning of every session, I remind anyone who is trying to find, who somehow is listening to us but can't find their Zoom info. The Zoom meeting ID is 915-3923-9154. Password is 209840. If you want to leave it. Hello. If you want to watch and listen to us on YouTube, you go to www.youtube.com. In the search bar, type Lee County IL Zoning Board of Appeals. Don't worry about upper or lowercase. Find the session date you want, which is presumably today, November 3rd. Click on it and you should be able to see and listen to us. If you need, if you're not a techno geek and you need some help, Ms. Duffy's technical hotline is 815-973-3449. Feel free to call for some help. All right, I note present in the old Lee County Courthouse third floor courtroom are Chair of the ZBA, Mr. Forster, Mr. Burrows present, Mr. Bothy's present, as is Mr. Meyer. Ms. Duffy, the zoning officer, is present, as is the renewable energy coordinator, Alice Hinkle. Lee County's Fine State's Attorney, Charlie Boonstra, is present. The attorney for the petitioner, Courtney Kennedy, is present. I see two representatives of the petitioner. I count, court reporter Callie and myself are present. I count in the courtroom interested parties numbering 15. That means in the courtroom, we have 27 people. Ms. Henkel tells me that on Zoom, she counts 9 attendees. Under the governor's current executive order, all persons 2 years of age or older, except those who have a disability as defined by the Americans with Disabilities Act, are required to wear a face mask covering their nose and mouth when in an indoor public space such as this, regardless of whether they're maintaining a social distance of more than 6 feet or not. We're making an exception for those who wish to speak. They can remove their face masks during their time they're speaking. At this point, if you're in the courtroom, I ask you to please turn your cell phones off or at least to silent. And we'll pick up where we left off last time, which was the opportunity for interested parties to give closing statements or public comments. I've been through the people in the hearing room in person once, but we've had an interim of about a week. So if in case there's anyone in this space in person who has not given a closing statement or public comment, if you'd raise your hand for me, I'll finish off the people in the courtroom. Oh, okay, Charlie, you want to find a microphone and let us know what you have to say. There's one right here at the podium up in front. Are you able to stand, Charlie? Okay. Charlie, I hope you get started. Why don't you state your name?
I'm Charles Stitz. And I guess I'm next door to the solar farm.
All right.
Anyway,
You take it from there and give us any final comments you want to make.
okay, okay. I people was had open mic last week, and I guess we run out of time, and so I knew I was going to be first, and I prepared a longer speech. Well, not a speech, a longer talk, but I came early and I can't ask questions. So I can say the reason why I want solar farms or why I'm against. And so I guess that's all I can say. So anyway, I I believe in science. I, I believe that we should get the COVID-19 shots so we all don't have to wear these masks anymore, because the spreader diseases, that's why they're COVID-19 is not dying, because a lot of people don't get the shots. But I believe that's why we're all wearing these damn masks yet. Anyway, and I also believe in climate change. I believe the scientists, they're one hell of a lot smarter than me and all of you in this room. That's what I believe in. So but I don't know why they have to build solar farms in Illinois. That was the last week's topic, and I didn't ask no questions because I can hear the questions that the peons in the back of the room ask, but I can't hear none of the, I can hear the questions, but I don't hear the answers, because the experts from Duke Energy, they practice their speeches when they sell solar farms around America. They know what the question's going to be, and they rattle them off, and they don't talk into the mic, and I don't, and everybody presumes I can't hear, and I can't. And it was, it don't matter why I can't hear. But I don't believe, I don't know why they have to build in Illinois and prime farmlands, maybe wind farms, to be close to Dixon, to the lines that bring the energy to Dixon, because the lines here, because on wind farms, I've never been close to a solar farm or a wind farm, even in Illinois, southern Lee County, that I believe you farm between the towers on a wind farm, at least just growing something underneath the panels. You ain't growing nothing. And who knows what the future is going to be in 40 years from now. That's how long the wind farm, I think, is going to be last, right south of Dixon. What the climate's going to be in 40 years. But why can't they build them in Wyoming or in Nevada? They can't even grow trees out there, and forest. At least Illinois has good dirt that can grow food, not just corn and soybeans or trees. And trees bring the carbon out of the atmosphere more than grass does. Anyway, at least Illinois can grow something. Why do they have to put solar farms here? Maybe wind farms. And well, that was that part. And I can't ask no questions on drainage or floodplains. And I guess that I believe in wind farms, but I don't know why they have to build them in Illinois. That's the end of my speech.
Thank you. All right, anybody else in the room? All right, yes, I'd seen the back. Almost didn't see you, but I did. If you'll start with your name and where you live, work, or own a business in relation to the project, and go ahead.
Christy Reese, and we are a landowner adjacent to the solar.
Sure, Christie with a CH or an
Kristi.
RISTI and REES.
REISS.
REISS. Okay, thanks. All right, go ahead.
While attending these meetings of the Lee County Board of Appeals, I have a new admiration for each of you who take the time out of your own busy lives to help ensure that the rest of us have a safe and prosperous county to live in. I'm saddened by the lack of interest and attendance by the public. There are so many people who live in Lee County that have no idea of the magnitude of this project and that it will be located so close to the edge of the city of Dixon. I understand that you gentlemen have certain criteria that you must follow in order to make your decision. But during these meetings, you have heard some very serious concerns voiced by the citizens of our county. And I hope that these concerns will reach the ears of the members of the Lee County Board. Please forgive us for not being polished speakers. We lead with our emotions because this is our home. And we care about how accepting one of the largest solar projects in the nation into our backyard is going to have an effect on all of us in the future. Our community's roots are in agriculture, and we should be considering projects that embrace that. There are other solar projects around the world that are promoting technology and agriculture sharing the land, whether it be using the land for pasture or for growing useful crops. If you haven't already, please drive out to 2328 South Galena Avenue, and you will still be in the city of Dixon. Go a few feet further to the old Tyson hog buying station. Look to the south, the east, and the west, and picture nothing but solar panels. This is a vision that an 8-foot fence is not going to hide. I also am concerned about an 8-foot fence lining both sides of Route 26, starting at the edge of Dixon down towards Route 30. I feel it's going to be a very safe, unsafe and hazardous. There will be hazardous conditions because of the wildlife trying to get from field to field, which they will not be able to, and involved in traffic accidents. So I am not an expert, but I just live here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Yes, I see a hand way in the back. And if you'll help us get started with your name and your proximity to the project, whether it's where you live, where you work, or where you own a business.
My name is Diana Westart, and I am a participant.
And would you spell your last name? Sorry.
Westart.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
And I live in the midst of the proposed solar farm project. And if approved, it will be on all 4 sides of me. My brother Jim Sheeline and I grew up in Peoria County on a corn, beans, wheat, and hay farm. We milked dairy cows. We had cattle, hogs, sheep, chickens, several ponies, and horses. In 1983, my father bought this farm just south of Dixon. Jim and I moved here in 1985. We have lived, and Jim has farmed for 36 and a half years. Between us, we have raised 11 children And we have both, along with our children, been active in the community and in the county. We have listened to the questions and the concerns during these meetings. One of the concerns is that the panels are toxic and they will affect our groundwater. There are many areas in the country that have solar, and I have yet to read factual information or findings that people have died from living near solar panels. If that was the case, I don't believe people will build them on their residential properties or put them on their roofs. I am a parent of a severely disabled son who had multiple medical issues. After caring for him for 30 years, the last thing that I want for anyone, including myself, is to put something that is toxic around us. Donaldson's company has put solar panels on their property on Progress Drive and Dutch Road. I wonder if anyone spoke to that company or put out a petition to stop them from putting up their panels. Another concern is environmental. I have an abundance of possum, raccoons, skunks, squirrels, rabbits, rats. They know very well how to climb. They know how to dig underground and they create tunnels. I doubt very much that they will be affected by a fence. The birds, pheasants, hawks will benefit from the trees planted. There are those that are not happy about seeing the fence or the trees. I'm confused as to how that will detour tourism interest, which has been stated in previous meetings. If you drive south on Route 26, along where the area is proposed, Renner Quarry has grown adult fir trees that buffer the quarry from the road. Other than the sign at Renner Quarry, I doubt that too many people driving down pay any mind to the quarry there or any mind to the trees that are grown there. If you look at many of the residences along there, many of people have planted their own trees. They might have planted them for a wind block, for privacy, or for aesthetics, but is not any different than what is proposed to buffer the solar project. There are people who are concerned about herbicides being used to control weeds, and yet farmers use herbicides and insecticides. For years, I have watched the crop dusters spray crops on the farm next to ours. I have listened endlessly to the phrase prime farmland. Not one person has contacted us to talk about our prime farmland. They have never shown us any concern before. They will state their disgust on social media, sign petitions, and talk as if they have some kind of ownership over our land that they don't own, don't farm, or make decisions on. At the same time, they are concerned about prime farmland. They remark that the solar project will stop progress for residential and industrial projects. So they're not really concerned about that for the prime farmland taking. They just don't like the solar panels. My brother has been continually characterized as a county board member who would become a multimillionaire. I'm not sure that that statement being said over and over again is pertinent, as if it was nefarious or a conflict of interest. So let me tell you the facts on this. Jim has been an advocate for ag industry his entire life. He has given countless hours in research and in education and has added to the betterment of the community and the county. Not only is he a county board member, but he is also and is a Lee County Farm Bureau member, along with several positions within that, a state Farm Bureau director for 10 years, South Dixon Township Supervisor, Dixon Public School Board member, and is also now president of the Lee County Republicans. Our farm includes not just Jim, but 4 generations and 24 people. We made this decision to participate together, and we will continue to do our research and educate our next generations. This is the only development that will allow our farm ground to rest and then can be turned back into crop production. From our family's perspective, we have just changed crops. It is no different than if we would have changed to raise hogs or hay. We care about our land. This is our love. This is our livelihood. It is our business to make decisions on. Farming is a hard profession. Students do not go to college to learn how to become a farmer. They are typically grown to be a farmer. Many sons and daughters decide to go to other professions and careers. The political atmosphere does not make it easy to farm. Countless regulations and estate taxes, along with the price of land and equipment, makes it very difficult for our next generation to decide to farm. The current political administration, both at the state level and the federal level, has made green energy their top priority. Elections have consequences, and they have decided and continue to speak that that is where they intend to go in the very near future. I do not own a Tesla. I am not a shitty neighbor. I do not intend to sell my property and run, but I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Any other folks in the room? All right, seeing none, I will turn to the Zoomers. Folks on Zoom, if you wish to give, any of you wish to give a closing statement, public comment, now's the time. To remind you, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, I think you'll see an icon, excuse me, an icon that says participants. If you click on that, you should see some kind of list pop up, and you should see on that list one of the choices being raise hand. If you'll click on that raise hand, we should see it on the screen here in the courtroom, and I will call on you, as I won't be able to do first come, first serve, but I'll make sure you're called upon. If you are teleconferencing, then stay on the Zoom. Teleconferencing meaning you're not on audio, on visual, but you're on audio. Stay on it. Go to your keypad. Press asterisk or star, and then the number 9, and that should also create the function of raising your hand. So I'll give you some seconds, and I'll turn around and try and spy if we've got anybody who has public comments. Okay, Nichols, Peter Nichols, can you hear me? First of all,
I can hear you. Can you?
And we can hear you.
Oh,
Good. We got that bridge crossed. If you'll give us your spelling, your name, spell your last name for us, please, and then enlighten us where you live, reside, or own a business. That sounded awful. Where you
My
live,
name
work,
is,
or own a business in relation to the proposed project, and go ahead.
My name is Dr. Peter Nichols, and I'm an owner along with brother and sister-in-law of parcels in the project. So I'd like to speak as an owner.
Would you spell your last name for court?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's Nichols.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
It's right on the participant list. So I've prepared some comments because, as you pointed out last time, Judge, sometimes I ramble a little bit when I was asking a question. So I'm going to be reading from some prepared comments, and they're short. So my name's Dr. Peter Nichols, who along with my brother, sister, and sister-in-law own several parcels in the project. I've been involved with these parcels for over 70 years. My first involvement was with my grandfather, H.C. Warner. I was his sidekick until he passed away when I was 15. This was a valuable time for me because it was formative for my understanding of farming. He taught me we are stewards, not owners. H.C. Warner was a prominent lawyer and farmer in Lee County until he passed away in 1960. One of the parcels in the project was a frequent stop in my childhood, as well as now. It was where Harlan Chamberlain farmed for around 50 years on the Dutch Road. I have the original 8-page lease my grandfather and Harlan signed in 1944. It detailed how many dairy cows, laying hens, beef cows, and hogs would be on the farm. Why do I mention this? Because none of it exists anymore. In other words, dramatic changes have occurred in my lifetime in farming, and dramatic changes will continue to occur. After my mother, Tatter Nichols, passed away in 2001, my siblings and I took over managing things. When we were approached by Duke Energy a couple of years ago about placing our land in a solar farm, we all agreed to investigate. I will give my thoughts, not necessarily my siblings' thoughts, on how I arrived at my decision to commit the land to solar for a fairly long time. First, it is my opinion that climate change is real and that we as individuals, communities, states, countries, and even continents need to be serious about it. I further believe that renewable energy and diminished use of fossil fuels is essential to protecting the planet from climate change. Therefore, further consideration of solar was sort of a no-brainer. Second, I believe our soils are being depleted and that 40 years of grass pollinator mix instead of corn, soybeans will be good for the soils. The evidence for me is that post-CRP plantings show soil improvement, even though the first crop post-CRP is not always a great one. Third, I believe our waterways, all the way to the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico, are being contaminated in part because of corn soybean farming. If you don't put fertilizer, insecticide, and herbicide on the land, they will not contaminate the waterways. I recognize herbicide might be an issue, but no greater than what's there now with corn and soybean farming. Last, the agreement results in diversification with a new, very generous revenue stream. I believe this diversification is important as the future is unpredictable. And one change is that ethanol production and therefore corn production is likely to decrease due to decreased use of fossil fuels. In summary, I can assist fighting climate change by reducing fossil fuel use, improve the soil for the next generation, reduce waterway contamination, and at the same time, I can enhance and protect my revenue stream. I would like to say that Duke Energy has always been a good partner in addressing my concerns from the beginning when we discussed possibilities with Arnie Kellen and Tyler Kuhn, and now with Jeff Nevis. I hope you on the board will all vote to approve the project. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Other folks on Zoom. Mr. Nikoloff, today is just for closing public comments. Time to present any evidence is gone. So if you have public comments, that'd be great.
Is it okay to present a video as a public comment?
Is it your own, is it a video of you giving a public comment?
No, it's video of farmers and community members in the Chisago County area in Minnesota, and they live with
No, that's more in the nature of evidence. That time's gone. You can
Okay.
certainly give a speech or a comment. That's great.
Nope, I think that's fine. Thanks.
Okay. Very good. Any other folks? Any raised hands? I don't. But give you about 5 or 10 more seconds, folks. I don't want to lose anybody. Okay, I don't see any raised hands. All right, the time for interested parties, public comments, closing statements is at an end. Because you bear the burden of proof, Ms. Kennedy, you have the opportunity under the board's rules to give a rebuttal argument should you wish to do so.
I have none, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Then the public participation stages of the ZBA hearing is closed. Yes, Charlie. No, we're all, it doesn't go on and on. We're at an end. So we will begin the board's fact finding and recommendation stage after we take a break and organize our technical stuff. So let's resume again at 1:15. All right, gentlemen. I would give my speech about fact finding and recommendations, but I think you all are so experienced and expert now that I don't have to do that. As chair, I will now entertain, the floor is open for entertaining motions on findings of fact and or recommendations.
Judge Slavin,
Yes, sir, Mr. Burrow.
I move that,
Just a minute here. I gotta deal with my, can I get that out of there? Yeah, okay. Got it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I move that in section 1, that the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals hereinafter ZBA or zoning board finds that on May 6, 2021, South Dixon Solar LLC, hereinafter the petitioner or the developer, South Dixon Solar or Duke, a wholly owned subsidiary of Duke Energy Renewables Solar LLC, filed a petition with the Lee County Zoning Administration Officer, which is number 21-P-1566, requesting a special use permit to construct and operate a $450 million capital investment, 500 megawatt solar energy system, hereinafter SES solar farm project, facility, or development, all on 51 parcels of real estate totaling 3,838 acres, owned by 25 landowners and zoned Ag 1 within South Dixon Township, generally bounded on the north by Interstate 88, the east by Red Brick Road, the south by US Route 30, and on the west by Hoyle Road. Portions of the project are within a 1.5 mile radius of the city limits of Dixon. Subsequently, on the morning of July 15th, 2021, South Dixon Solar LLC filed an amended petition as to that requested special use permit.
That's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I've heard a second. That opens the floor for debate. Out of courtesy, it's your motion, Mr. Burrow. Anything you want to say about it?
No, sir.
Any other board member want to address this particular motion? Hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is, the adoption of the motion is so ably recited by Mr. Burrow. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. And before I forget, Mr. Forster, the chairman of the ZBA, is present, but he has, for perceived a business conflict of interest, chosen not to participate in any voting during fact finding and recommendation. So, absent Mr. Forster, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion's carried and is adopted. Let me do my housekeeping so I can get it down later. All right, the floor is open for other motions.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir, Mr. Meyer.
number 2, the Lee County ZBA finds that the following submission of the application, proper notice of the filing of the petition, and of an impending ZBA hearing was published in the Dixon Telegraph on September 21st, 2021. Furthermore, certified mailings of the same notice were sent to adjacent property owners who would be within 500 feet of the proposed project's boundary. In addition, zoning officer D. Duffy went to extraordinary lengths to publish continually updated notices on her department's pages of the Lee County website and post the same throughout the area which the proposed development would be located.
That's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, the floor is open for debate. Anything you want to say about your own motion, Mr. Meyer?
No, sir.
Any other board member? Seeing none, hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is on the adoption of the motion as so ably read by Mr. Meyer. Adoption of that motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. Other than Mr. Forrester, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion is adopted. All right, onward and upward.
Judge Slavin.
Yes, sir.
On number 3, I move that prior to the initiating the hearing, the board finds that under the authority provided by its own rules, it engaged the services of Tim Slavin, a retired circuit court judge, as the facilitator for the proceedings.
That's a motion. Do I hear a second? All right, hearing a second. Floor is open for debate. Your motion, Mr. Burrow.
Nothing.
Any other board member? Seeing none, hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the board finds prior to initiating the hearing that under the authority provided by its own rules and engage the services of Tim Slavin, a retired circuit judge, as the facilitator for the proceedings. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. That motion is adopted as well. And the ball's back in your court, gentlemen.
Number 4, Your Honor. The motion would read, the Lee County ZBA finds that the first stage of the public hearing regarding the petition for the special use permit was for your Lee County ZBA to accept testimony, hear arguments, and receive public comments. The evidentiary and comments portion of the hearing began on October 7th, 2021, and concluded on October 27th.
Actually, that's not true. I didn't mean to be so rude to interrupt, but today's November 3rd. Would you take a friendly amendment to make it November 3rd?
Let me start again at the beginning of the evidentiary comments portion.
Sure.
The evidentiary and comments portion of the hearing began on October 7th, 2021, and concluded November 3rd, 2021, consisting of 5 total sessions.
Must be 6.
Six total sessions. The initial one beginning at 7 p.m. and all subsequent ones at 6 p.m. All those sessions took place in the former main courtroom on the 3rd floor of the old Lee County Courthouse. The totality of these sessions in the first stage comprised in total of approximately 13 hours of hearing time.
All right, I think I can, let's see if that looks right now.
I think that's correct now.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, the floor is open for debate. Anything you want to say about your own motion, Mr. Meyer?
Nothing to add.
Any other board member? Seeing none, hearing none, I will put the question. The question, since there was a little confusion, the question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the first stage of the public hearing regarding the petition for special use permit was for your Lee County ZBA to accept testimony, hear arguments, and receive public comments. The evidentiary and comments portion of the hearing began on October 7, 2021, and concluded on November 3rd, 2021, consisting of 6 total sessions, the initial one beginning at 7 p.m. and subsequent ones at 6 p.m. All those sessions took place in the former main courtroom on the 3rd floor of the old Lee County Courthouse. The totality of these sessions of the first stage comprised in total approximately 13 hours of hearing time. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion is adopted. All right. I'll
Mr.
save that and the floor is back to you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Burrow.
on number 5, I move that the Lee County ZBA finds that throughout the hearing process, proceedings adhere to then currently applicable state of Illinois COVID-19 guidelines for public gatherings, in that all those attending in the hearing in person were required to wear face masks. An exception was made for the time during which an attendee was publicly speaking, and for those who did not feel comfortable in a somewhat more populated main courtroom, accommodations were initially made within the building to occupy the contiguous former jury deliberation room, where they could participate on a Zoom feed set up by Ms. Duffy's and Lee County IT department. However, there were never any attendees appearing who took advantage of that accommodation. Additionally, interested parties were given the opportunity to remotely and virtually participate in the process by video or teleconferencing on the Zoom platform using a computer, cell phone, or similar device at a location of their choosing. Furthermore, interested parties could remotely view and listen to the proceedings in real time or later in the recorded mode on a YouTube feed, also courtesy of Lee County IT Department and Ms. Duffy. Lastly, the entirety of the proceedings was taken down by a certified shorthand reporter and was subsequently transcribed. Those transcripts of all testimony, arguments, public comments, and ZBA debate were and continue to be available on the zoning and planning web pages within the Lee County website.
All right, that's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Heard a second. Anything you want to say about your own motion, Mr. Burrow?
No, sir.
Any other board member? Seeing none, hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is on the adoption of the motion as so ably read by Mr. Burrow. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. That motion is adopted as well. All right, onward and upward.
Okay, Your Honor, number 6. My motion reads, the Lee County ZBA finds over the course of the first stage, everyone, the petitioner and interested parties, were given a complete and fair opportunity to be heard. Each was given the chance to present evidence, including witnesses and exhibits, cross-examine the witnesses of others, and to present a closing argument, statement, or public comment, either orally or in writing.
All right, that's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second. Anything you want to say about your own motion, Mr. Meyer?
No, sir.
Any other board member? Hearing none, seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds over the course of the first stage, everyone, the petitioner and interested parties, were given a complete and fair opportunity to be heard. Each was given the chance to present evidence, including witnesses and exhibits, cross-examine the witnesses of others, and to present a closing argument, statement, or public comment, either orally or in writing. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion's unanimously adopted. All right. Next.
Mr. Chairman, number 7, I move that we, the members of the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals, find that we heard all the evidence produced and examined each of the exhibits.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second. Anything you want to say about your own motion, Mr. Burrow?
No.
Any other board member wish to address it? Hearing none, seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether we, the members of the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals find that we heard all of the evidence produced and examined each of the exhibits. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion is adopted. Oops. All right, moving on.
Your Honor, number 8, the motion reads, the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals finds the 9 people took the witness stand, were placed under oath or affirmation, and testified. Those witnesses, in order of their appearance, with a very brief summary of what they had to say, were as follows. Mr. Jeff Neves, offered by the petitioner, is the Business Development Director for Duke Energy. On behalf of the company and South Dixon Solar LLC, he committed to being bound by all representations made in the application and statements made under oath by representatives of those entities during the ZBA hearing. He went on to give a general overview of the proposed SES, the big picture of its physical and financial footprint, and community benefits and outreach efforts. He indicated that although he believed that the newest iteration of the Lee County SES zoning provisions were not applicable to the project because the petition was filed in May of 2021 before the ordinance was passed in July of 2021, the developer intended to comply with almost all of its requirements. The two differences were pledges, first to provide 100% of the anticipated decommissioning costs without taking salvage value into account, rather than the new ordinance's mandated 150%, and to pay all of the ordinance required consulting and expert fees, but not to put $100,000 in escrow to secure the same. On cross-examination, Mr. Neves deflected many questions as the bailiwicks of his witnesses to come. Mr. Patrick Smith, offered by the petitioner and development engineer for Duke Energy, also promised that Duke would be bound by all representations made in the application and statements made under oath during the ZBA hearing. He then provided a bit more detail of the proposed project, such things as maximum bifacial solar panel composition, life expectancy and height, setbacks, traffic issues, laydown yards, a promise to comply with applicable statutes, codes, standards, including the new Lee County SES ordinance, except for its heightened decommissioning financial security, fencing descriptions, signage compliance, downcast and shield lighting locations, anticipated compliant noise levels, the expected lack of glare, storage, landscaping, fire safety, road drainage tile repair, insurance, communication interference, construction activity times, minimal electromagnetic fields, and floodplain avoidance. On cross-examination, Mr. Smith indicated that the developer did not anticipate creating any well or septic system. That part of the project's equipment would be combiner boxes at the end of each panel string, measuring approximately 10 foot by 8 foot by 6 foot. While such equipment, including inverters, would make some significant noise, they do not operate at night. Mr. Jason Cooper, presented by the petitioner, is the Midwest lead civil engineer of solar development for Kimley Horn, an engineering consultant firm. He testified that on behalf of the developer, he prepared the site plan in the instant application. He explained that the process by which he and his team created the plan. He generally described the landscape buffer and stormwater management provisions found in the application and alluded to the glare analysis and noise study also found therein. He promised that no structures would be built in any floodplain, any existing floodplains, that a spill prevention plan would be created if any triggering equipment volume came to pass. On cross-examination, Mr. Cooper indicated that there would be 27 gated entrances into the proposed development, and each would be padlocked. He also allowed that the wiring between panels and downstream equipment up to the substation will be placed underground where possible and removed during decommissioning. There may be some of its conduit left in place. Miss Wendy Ryerson, now Lee County Administrator, was presented by the petitioner. As a former Lee County and certified assessor, she imparted her expertise on property tax formulas as they relate to commercial solar energy systems, generally, and more specifically, similar matters as they relate to the proposed project, such things as the myths and realities of shifting tax burdens, the effect of PTELL, Property Tax Extension Limitation Law, on eligible taxing entities, and the relative benefits and detriments of the statutory depreciation and repowering. Mr. Mike Morose of Morose and Company, offered by the petitioner, is a real estate appraiser and consultant of more than 40 years, holding a number of professional designations and certificates. He rendered his opinion that there was no evidence that the proposed project would have any negative impact on property values and may increase the value and marketability of agricultural properties. In doing so, he outlined his scope of work and detailed the protocols used in his matched pairs analysis. He buttressed his conclusion with the discussions he had with various county assessors and peer-reviewed expert literature. He also noted a University of Rhode Island study that he said concluded that renewable energy developments may have negative effect on prices in more populated suburban regions, but not in rural areas. Mr. Tom Huddleston, offered by the petitioner, has been an owner of Huddleston McBride Drainage Company for more than 45 years. He testified among his professional drainage projects, he has located and rebuilt drain tile systems for solar projects. He explained his usual development process, beginning with a drain tile survey to provide siting information to a proposed project's engineer. Though his operation to remove and replace existing tile to assure that the involved drainage would be as good or better than what exists when the development was in place, including protecting rights of adjacent landowners' drainage benefits. He concluded by opining that in the long run, an SES improves the area's drainage because it allows the land to rest while its deep-rooted grasses add organic nutrients to the soil. Ms. Jennifer Klingshuren, Senior Project Manager, Environmental Scientist for Energy Renewable Partners, LLC, testified she put together the petitioner's application. She went on to aver that she was aware of the Lee County Comprehensive Plan, outlined some of its details, and opined about its compatibility with the proposed SES. In doing so, she testified about various ways to assess the proposed site's productivity index. From there, she skewed into an overview of environmental issues and the steps the developer has taken in that regard, i.e. working with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, IDNR, EcoCat tool, and ongoing consultation with the state historic preservation offices within the IDNR. How the noise study met the Illinois Pollution Control Board, IPCB, or EPA's criteria, an overview of the project's weed and grass control plan, possible stormwater pollution prevention plan, SWPPP, and landscapes plan, and how any one or more of the foregoing dovetail with the already executed AMA. She finished by noting that the site's LISA score of 81 and that the Emmanuel Cemetery would not be affected by construction, operation, or maintenance of the proposed facility. Ms. D. Duffy, the Lee County zoning officer, presented her own testimony. She explained that the part of her official duties was to maintain communications and documents received in her office regarding pending petitions. Relevant to this proceeding, she explained, were written expressions of support for the proposed project from Kevin Marks on behalf of the Lee County Industrial Development Association and Gary Pernier on behalf of the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters, a list of certified mailing receipts so the applicable interested parties for the pending petition, and the Lee County Soil and Water Natural Resource Report for the proposed development. Dr. Ralph Heiniger, professor at North Carolina State University, was remotely called to the witness stand by Jim Turtelot, an interested party. While acknowledging on cross-examination that he did not know nor read about any of the details of the South Dixon Solar LLC's vegetation management, decommissioning, water control, or community economic plans for the proposed development, Dr. Heiniger went on to give an overview of possible issues with solar energy projects across the country, including thumbnail sketches of what allegedly happened with the constructed SESs in Virginia and North Carolina. That would be my motion, Your Honor.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got one. You want to make any comment after your long reading?
No comment, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other board member? Hearing none, seeing none, I will put the question. I won't read all that again. It was ably read by Mr. Meyer. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion is adopted. And I'll save it and you gentlemen can have at it.
Mr. Chairman, number 9, move that the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the following exhibits were admitted into evidence by the facilitator and considered by the board. Petitioner exhibits. Number 1, hard copy of witnesses Jeff Nevis and Patrick Smith's PowerPoint presentation. Petitioner exhibit number 2, hard copy of witness Jason Cooper's PowerPoint presentation. PET number 3, hard copy of witness Mark Barros PowerPoint presentation. PET number 4, hard copy of witness Jennifer Klingsham's PowerPoint presentation. And PET number 5, 3-ring binder bound copy of the petitioner's application. Zoning and Planning Officer exhibits. ZO number 1, letter from Kevin Marks, Lee County Industrial Development Association. ZO number 2, letter from Gary Pernier, Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters. ZO number 3, compendium of required certified mailing receipts to ordinance defined interested parties. ZO number 4, the Lee County Soil and Water Conservation District's voluminous report on soils within the proposed development due to its size, only available in the zoning office. Interested parties exhibits. IP number A, Duke Energy photo of partial block of solar panels in an SES. Interested party number B, either a photo or mock-up of an expanded view of an SES development. That's the motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got one. Anything you want to say about your own motion, Mr. Burrow?
No, sir.
All right. Any other board member want to address it? Seeing none, hearing none, I'll put the question. The question being put is on the motion regarding exhibits as so ably read by Mr. Burrow. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Another one in the adopted column. And anybody else?
Your Honor, I would like to skip number 10 this evening and go to number 11.
Okay. Or we can do 10 and I can add to it. We can add to it down at the next session. It's up to you. It's your choice.
I think it would be better continuity if we just skip
Okay.
it and go to 11.
Fair enough.
Your Honor, my motion would read, the Lee County ZBA finds that as noted above, the petition for a special use permit for the instant project was initially filed with the county zoning office on May 6, 2021. And later on the morning of July 15th, 2021, an amended petition was filed. And at the time of such filings, there was in place Lee County ordinance specific to solar energy systems, section 10-15-20. And subsequently to each of those filings, on the evening of July 15th, 2021, the Lee County Board passed a revised ordinance number 7-21-004, regulating the development of solar energy systems. And that consequently, due to the above timing of events by uncontested operational law, the ordinance applicable to this pending petition is then the section 10-15-20 as last amended by number 12-19-2017.
All right, that's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second? Anything you want to say about your motion, Mr. Meyer? Any other board member? All right, I'll put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that as noted above, the petition for a special use permit for the instant project was initially filed with the county zoning office on May 6, 2021, and later on the morning of July 15, 2021, an amended petition was filed. And at the time of each such filings, there was in place a Lee County ordinance specific to solar energy systems, section 10-15-20, and subsequently to each of those filings, on the evening of July 15, 2021, the Lee County Board passed a revised ordinance numbered 07-21-004, regulating the development of solar energy systems, and that consequently, due to the above timing of events, by uncontested operation of law, the ordinance applicable to this pending petition is then section 10-15-20 as last amended by actually ordinance number 12-19-2017. Adoption of this motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion's adopted. And with the pass on one of the motions, that's all there were two issues. First, getting everything in order, and then trying to guess how much time there was going to be left tonight. And the guest missed it by about an hour, I guess, but so it goes. We will recess. I really want to do Tuesday the 9th. I know the next available one is the 8th, but for some very practical reasons, I'm going to recess until Tuesday, November 9th, 6 o'clock here in the third floor courtroom, Old Lee County Courthouse, 6 o'clock, Tuesday the 9th. I should check that. I have yeses from all you gentlemen. And I haven't either. So it goes. Okay. We still have a quorum. Mr. Forster is not voting, but we have three of you and you can be here. Is that right, Mr. Burrow, Meyer, and Bothy? Okay.